Moving on to pick number 23 overall, the New England Patriots are on the clock. And the pick for them is going to be quarterback out of Georgia, Jake Fromm. I think that this guy has gotten a lot of hate in the draft process. I think he's really underrated and undervalued, especially because in his senior season, he had to play with a very, very poor Georgia offense. This Georgia offense was not run properly, and I think Jake Fromm just didn't have chances to make many flashy plays. So I think that people are pushing him down because he's not going to be that quarterback that's going to make those flashy plays. I think he's going to be another one of these dispensing type quarterbacks that I keep talking about, where you put him in a really good situation. You get some fast releasers, guys who can play in the slot around him, who can release and win through routes, and then he can get their ball into their hands quickly by making really accurate throws in really good quick reads. I think you have to scheme things up for him, but I don't think that there's a better coach to bring him in to pair him with than Bill Belichick. I think that Belichick is going to know exactly how to use his talents in order to maximize them. And I think that Fromm here could be a decent quarterback for the Patriots. Again, I think that he could be someone, like I said, with Tua, that ends up in that 15 to 20 range of quarterbacks in the NFL. And you can win with guys like that, especially with a coach like Bill Belichick who knows how to scheme up open passes. Next on the clock, at number 24 overall for the Saints, they are going to take Kenneth Murray, linebacker out of Oklahoma. This is a great pick. You have Demario Davis here, who's getting older, bringing the replacement for him. Kenneth Murray, very athletic for his size. He can play the run, and he still offers you pass coverage as well. He can sit in those underneath the zones and cover those very well. So I think he's the perfect pick here to come in and replace an aging Demario Davis. Next on the clock, at number 25 overall, is the Minnesota Vikings. They're going to continue to beef up this defense by adding another secondary member. That is going to be Grant Delpit, safety out of LSU. It was just a year ago where people were talking about this guy as the new Jamal Adams coming out of LSU. This kind of do-it-all linebacker. He can play, or this do-it-all safety. He can play linebacker. He can play free safety. He can load the box in strong safety. He's got the passing instincts. He has the range. But Delpit is a great athlete, really good acceleration and burst, and I think that he can really kind of be this do-it-all safety for the Vikings. Now, the Vikings, they do already have a really good safety duo in the house with Harrison Smith and Anthony Harris, but Harrison Smith is on the wrong side of 30, getting older, losing a step. I think that Grant Delpit is the perfect player to replace him as this do-it-all safety in about a year's time. Next, at number 26 overall, is going to be the Detroit Lions in the pick that they received from the trade with the Miami Dolphins. And here, they're going to take center/guard out of Michigan, Cesar Ruiz. I think this is the perfect guy to replace Graham Glasgow that they let walk in free agency. I think that this line really did get depleted in free agency. They lost Glasgow, who is that versatile guard and center for them. And I think if you bring in Cesar Ruiz, you're going to get that back for the next couple years. He can play guard, he can play center, and you also have Frank Ragnow in the building as well too, who can play either of those positions as well. So now all of a sudden you have some versatility. You can move some interior guys around on this line, but you got to replace those offensive linemen that you lost. Next on the clock at number 27 overall is going to be the Seattle Seahawks, and they are going to take Yetur Gross-Matos, edge rusher out of Penn State. This team has a big need for an edge rusher. Even when they had Jadeveon Clowney last year, they needed one because Jadeveon Clowney just isn't the greatest pass rusher. He's all right, but he's not gonna, wow you. He's not gonna really give you that number one potential. But it's gonna be a big need for this team. Yetur Gross-Matos put on some weight before the combine. He plays well with power. But I think that you just have to take a shot at this position and get somebody in here who can put some pass rush moves and get to the quarterback. Because right now on the roster, you really don't have anybody in the edge positions who can do that. Next on the clock at number 28 overall is the Baltimore Ravens, and they are going to take Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. Ravens have really had need for an off-ball linebacker since the departure of C.J. Mosley in free agency a year ago. Patrick Queen is that really, really fluid player in coverage. Now, I think you are a little bit concerned about his physicality in the run game just because of his stature. He doesn't play the run very well. I think you're worried about him getting mauled by blockers at the next level. But if you can keep him free and roaming sideline to sideline and matched up with running backs and potentially even some smaller slot receivers, I think that he can pay really, really good dividends in your defense and be a good versatile chess piece that you can move around. Next at 29 overall, the Tennessee Titans are on the clock. And the pick here for them is going to be cornerback out of TCU, Jeff Gladney. They lost Logan Ryan in free agency, who was kind of their nickel. They used him in a nickel role with a little bit of hybrid safety thrown in there as well. I think you have to replace that. On the roster right now, you don't really have anybody who projects inside. I'd prefer to keep Adoree Jackson and Malcolm Butler as perimeter corners. So by bringing in Jeff Gladney, I think that he can play this nickel role really well. He has really great acceleration in these short areas, as well as he's a bit undersized. So I don't think he projects very well on the outside, but bring him in here and play him in this nickel role. I think he'll do pretty well for the Tennessee Titans. Next on the board at number 30 overall is the Miami Dolphins, and they are going to take Next on the clock at number 30 overall is the Miami Dolphins, and they are going to take offensive tackle Matt Peart. I think that this guy is very undervalued right now out of UConn, but he's a really, really good pass blocking right tackle. I think his pass blocking form is among the best in this tackle class. So you bring him in here, and I think that, as I previously said, the Dolphins have the worst offensive line in the league. So you got to keep putting these guys around Jordan Love, who you just brought in, and I think that it's going to start with this right tackle. I think at the end of the first round, you're going to get some really good dividends for it. And he's probably the guy that I was looking to take at number 20 overall anyways, but you're going to get much better value here, and you're going to pick up that second round pick, the Packers second round pick that we previously traded for, that you can use to assemble even more offensive linemen, because I think that there's a lot of these offensive linemen that are day 2 prospects that you can take shots on there. Next on the clock, number 31 overall, is the San Francisco 49ers, and the pick for them is going to be cornerback out of Utah, Jalen Johnson. This guy, perfect scheme fit. He played, again, that cover 3 scheme that we see so many of these college teams running, but he is going to project perfectly to fit into the San Francisco scheme. They have a lot of young corners there already, but Richard Sherman is aging on the wrong side of 30. I think you bring in Jalen Johnson, super physical press corner, and super physical in the run game. He plays the run very, very well. He's got those really nice run-stopping instincts. So you bring him in, have Sherman coach him up for a year, and then when Sherman is ready to retire, maybe it's in a year, maybe it's in 2 years, I think Jalen Johnson is ready to take over for that starting outside role. Next, for the final pick of the first round, the Kansas City Chiefs are selecting at number 32 overall, and they are going to take safety out of Minnesota, Antoine Winfield. Now, this kid, really, really good free safety. I think he probably has the best range out of any free safety in this class. And I think that you bring him in here, you pair him with Juan Thornhill over top. This is going to give you a lot of flexibility with what you do with Tyrann Mathieu. You could, then match up Mathieu with the tight end, with slot receiver, with a running back. It just gives you many different chess pieces in this backfield. And I think that it really transforms this Chiefs defense, and it kind of turns them into one of the best safety duos and a really, really top level secondary in this league. You got Thornhill, you got Winfield, you got Mathieu. Those are all 3 guys who can play excellent at this safety position, and it gives you a lot of options on this defense. Well, guys, that's going to conclude our NFL 2020 first round mock draft. Let me know what you guys think. I'd love to hear your opinions about what players in this class you like, what players you don't like in the comments. Always down to talk football. Well, with all that being said out of the way, I hope that you guys can enjoy this great draft weekend that we have coming up and stay safe with your families, guys. Peace.